in this part behind the product series, we are going to talk about the idea that idea is worthless. Like ideas are worthless when you are starting a startup, business, a product, because it's kind of an idiom, or how to say it, that you can read in many books or manuals on how to do business. But it's kind of hard to integrate, or for us, it was always hard to integrate. And there is kind of a thin line um, in what if the idea actually matters or not. And Marek, you just said to me that it was you were just thinking about this, how these
Yeah, like on the way
manual
to work today, I
lines.
was thinking like about how, like, since I was like, I don't know, 16, I was reading a lot of books about like startups, like what are the best practices and everything. And one of the very common topics is that like ideas are basically worthless. So you shouldn't build your business around some idea you just got and think like this will make millions for you. Uh, but I remember like it took us like many years to really, start behaving this way, to really incorporate this into our everyday, like business lives. Because, just saying that ideas are worthless is just, I would say, very limiting for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's too bold. It's
because
like outline
it's very
only, and
natural for
it's
people.
so
Like,
hard to
I
grasp
don't
it
know,
and
like
integrate it.
when I talk about business with people who doesn't do any business, and I pitch something to them, they're always like, "This is not original idea. Like, you have to come up with something which doesn't exist." And I'm always like, "Okay, this is like common misconceptions. Like, most of the businesses doesn't work this way."
Yeah.
And so I think it's natural for people to try to come up with some really nice compelling idea. And when you tell
Mm,
yourself
mm.
like ideas are worthless, and you don't have the bigger picture of how business or startups should be made, like it's super limiting. And I remember like few years ago we got into this like stage where we actually realized that ideas are not so powerful as we thought, but we didn't know like what to do else. Like,
Went
ideas
to the
are
other
worthless,
extreme.
so all of our ideas are
Yeah.
stupid, and what should we do
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the complexity lies, in my opinion, because it's truth. It's there is a truth that ideas doesn't matter, because like just having idea takes you nowhere. But in my opinion, and we are just talking the other day about this with Predrag, is that you need to have the idea, and the idea needs to be cool, and you have to be passionate about it, and that's the idea is the source of it, and others will be passionate about it, and the idea is the source of it, even if it's new or it's old. But maybe your idea is okay, this is not a new completely new idea, but my approach to it is the new idea, kind of. But it's just the idea, but you need to have this kind of initial spark. You need to rely on it, you need to put energy into it, so it creates new energy that comes back to you, so you can get into the field, into the building phase, into talking to people. Because without the idea, you cannot do anything. As we learned the hard way, you are stuck. You are like, okay, this is a cool idea, but then you are like, yeah, but this is not that cool idea, and it's useless, kind of. So what are we going to do? And
Yeah,
it's a
so I
deadly
would say
loop.
like, yeah, it really depends. Like, I think like in business there are not some hard rules you should follow, and if you don't follow them you will not be successful. I think like it's kind of a
Hmm.
world where you can do like anything, and it can work, and you can do everything perfectly by the books and everything, and it doesn't have to work. But I would say like in general, you should start with an idea, because this is something which is going to give you the energy, this is something you are going to be passionate about. But then you have to like maybe try to follow the best practices, try to define your target audience, and really focus on the problem they have. And the idea can be like the first
Yeah,
iteration of the solution for that problem, and it's perfect because
yeah,
it's something you are
exactly.
passionate about. But on the other hand, you shouldn't be in love with the idea, you should be in love with the people and with their
Yeah,
problems.
you should be in love with it. And we just talked about it together with the other day about life, and how you should be happy about things that might
Yeah,
happen,
yeah,
but not
exactly.
so sad if they might not happen because you want to enjoy the happiness. It's the same. Like you have to love the idea truly. It is the best if you can do it. If you can love the idea and put everything into it, and but then be okay to let it go or change it completely or a lot because as you get into the space, you learn so much new things. You find out that your idea was not correct or that it was correct but it's too hard to execute or the business model doesn't work. Like we know it, so many things. You need to change it, adapt it, and you have to be okay to let it go. And it can be pretty hard, and I know it, when you are not ready for this, for letting the idea go. If you are too much stick with your idea and you are like, okay, but my idea is part of me, it's part of my vision of the world, and it can be hard because idea is manifestation of yourself, and I think I said it already sometimes, but it's manifestation of yourself, of your beliefs, how you understand the world, because that's your idea. So you have to change all of this, and it's hard to let it go because then you are like, okay, so maybe my view of the world is not so correct, um, and that's a challenge. But it's like it's really the idea for me is just to get into the problem space, to start being there, to motivate, influence some people so they get in talks with you, and then you want to
Yeah,
form
and I
it
would
a
say,
lot, sculpture it.
uh, if you get an absolutely amazing idea, but it's out of your scope, maybe, like maybe in some space you are not so
Mm.
passionate about, and maybe the problem belongs to people you don't care about that much, I would say maybe this is kind of idea which is really worthless, and maybe you shouldn't follow that, because like it's almost never the case that your idea will be the foundation of your business. Most of the time it's like the time you will spend
Yeah.
with the problem space, with the people in that space, and then you will gradually get many smaller ideas which will build your product which is going to work. So I would say, if it's idea out of your scope, out of something which interests you, but the idea seems to be cool, I would say that's worthless.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then maybe just it, I would like to touch what you said in the beginning, that there are so many of these. I'm not sure how it's called in English. Idioms, like archetypes of what you should do in business, like manuals, how to, that are set this simply, and you know that you should follow them. For example, always find a niche and start with the niche, and you know it, and you try to do it so hard, but it's so hard to actually integrate it in your flow into how you work. Um, and that's quite a challenge, right? Like, and we know it for so many of them, and even sometimes, as you said, there is no correct way to do business. So, for example, for some businesses like welder, having a niche is not so core, but you want it. Like, it's good to take something from it. If you are able to do it, it will be easier for you. But maybe it's not so important. So there are other ways.
Yeah, and I think we are
So many
like
of
partially
these.
biased in this way, because I think we are the kind of guys who are more like going into the niche, like building everything like by the rules. And I think it comes from the fact that we are basically a product team. We are not, for example, as super skilled in marketing as we are in doing the actual development of the product. So you really have to like double down on your strengths. So for example, if you are like
Mm,
super good with working with, for example, SEO, maybe you can build your product
mhm,
an idea, then try to bring a lot of traffic on that product, and then you can see like what will stick. So I think there are many ways you
mhm.
can approach like building digital products.
I think that's it. I think we go through this topic pretty truly. It was quite interesting for me. So maybe Marek, you
Yeah,
wanna
I think
start
like
with the
the
takeaway?
basic takeaway is that ideas are not worthless at all, but you should be really
Mm,
careful about like getting super excited about your ideas. And ideally it should be, when you want to like really go into it and build something based on your idea, the idea I think should be in a problem space which you are willing to stay in for a long time, because the true value of your
mm,
product will come from some longer time spent in the problem space and a lot of talk with your users and really deeply understanding their problem. So your idea is going to be just
Mhm.
the on the very beginning of this journey.
So it's like be really passionate about your ideas, believe in them, use them for your good, but be ready to change them and iterate them, because I haven't seen idea that is not changed
Yeah,
to succeed. Kind of sometimes in the core, it's true that sometimes for us at least the core is all like same through the product journey, but little
yeah,
differences,
yeah. And
they change a
sometimes
lot.
you will iterate your idea like completely, and it's totally fine because you should really be
Yeah,
focused
completely.
about you know your users and their problems.
The problem and the problem space. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
thanks,
Thanks,
Johan.
Mark. It was nice talk. Thank you guys for watching. And if you like these videos, like them. If you dislike them, dislike them. That makes sense, right? And subscribe for another episodes. We are releasing and creating these every week. We talk about our business journey, what we learned, what we find interesting, and we love
Yeah,
sharing it
give
with
us
you.
some
Give us a
comment.
comment. What do you think about this? And what do you think about ideas? Give us some comment.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.